Hey guys, Bassize here, and today I am back for day number 27 of R/RegularRevenge. That joke is still going to go on until the end of the series, so you're going to be dealing with it for another 5 months, plus 5 days of this to go. But today I have 3 stories lined up, and I'm very intrigued on the middle one that I have set up, because the tag for it is the long con. So I am very curious about that. So let me just move this out of the way. I'm very curious about the middle one. So let's start off with the first one on the list. Never hire friends or save your personal attacks on the work PC. Special thanks to user Graydon for formatting. Quick edit, I do not use a name because I was unsure due to their particular transition status at the time how to best address this. For context, this takes place in late 2018, early 2019, and they worked for 5 years prior here. Helped get a friend I had known for a period of time hired where I work. They had some previous experience in roughly the same field and seemed competent. Over the course of the 5 years they worked with me, they kept demanding better pay, etc., trying to justify it by claiming because they were a year older than me, they were entitled to even or slightly better pay than me. Okay, what the fuck? Whatever. Okay. Figure it's just them being stupid. They put in their 2 weeks several times over the last 2 years working here, trying to use it to leverage more money. Over the course of the last couple of years, I take a promotion to head of the department, and obviously have to take on more responsibility, etc. I'm now this person's direct manager, and am forced to watch their work quality decline as they seem to think, since I am their friend, they can get away with doing nothing or doing it poorly. Unfortunately for me, I have some integrity, and the jobs we do, if done improperly, can lead to catastrophic engine failure, loss of life, etc. I spent the next 4 months having sit-downs with this person and their quality of work, their attitude towards others, and even toward myself after they became hostile toward me. They earned 5 major write-ups, and the only reason they aren't fired is because the company owner has been footing this person's bad financial habits. Kept borrowing money from the facility when they crashed their cars. Yes, several of these. Or they couldn't afford their community college courses. And there was constant joking from them that if we ever fired them, they would just sue for harassment because they were trying to transition. This was common knowledge at the shop since they literally told everyone, and it was the first thing they talked about every day. Skip ahead another few months and they finally give another 2 weeks notice. Between HR, the company president, and myself, we decide we will not allow them to rescind this one like they have in the past. They are not worth the headache anymore. We start doing all the employee departure procedures and removing any personal effects from the facility PC, etc. Find a 2-page long time stamped rant personally attacking myself, my family, other facility staff, and more. Remember I said it was time-stamped? Written during work hours, specifically, a morning they were found to have not performed their duties. I decided to print a copy for myself, HR, and the president to keep on file. President and HR decided the day this person leaves, we hand them a copy and bar them from ever entering our facility or associated offices again. The day comes, they start begging to keep their job because supposedly the other offer fell through. Nope. Plant manager, president, HR, all of them tell them to hit the road. Tries begging me as a last effort. I just smile and say, no, I wouldn't want to inconvenience you by holding you back anymore. Get an odd look President comes over, hands them the letter and tells them to leave, never return, never call here again, etc. 2 days later, they post on social media about how much of an asshole I am for firing them and not helping them out, how I am a shit friend, how myself and my brother are transphobic, and whatever else. Ends up with a wonderful stream of mutual friends treating me like a dick, etc. In retaliation, I take screenshots of old convos of them railing on a lot of our mutuals, the derogatory names they use to describe a lot of people, even how this person had treated someone like a literal sick animal because that person had asked them out once and instead of saying they weren't interested, acted like this person would never leave them alone, how sickening it was, and the whole 9 yards. Do a massive name and shame post dump of all of this on social media where they can see and are tagged. The cherry on top, that wonderful letter they wrote bashing everyone at our facility and personal attacks on my family and I, who all the mutuals know since we used to always offer car help to people, and me and the offender shared the same birthday, so we used to have joint parties to celebrate. So, am I an asshole? And yeah, I still have all the screenshots and letter to this day. The social media post still sits on my profile for any soul to find. I want to find this image and just let it bask. Just let people see the shit show that had to happen at the end of this. Let's move on to bartender gets served. Isn't the bartender usually the one serving? This all happened about 5 or 6 years ago. I just thought of this story when Facebook suggested I add Pete as friend. I used to be a bar manager at a decent-sized resort. Multiple restaurants, bars, and pools. The outdoor pool had a small bar by it. All the bartenders had to be assigned to that one because the tips were less out there. I would rotate the bartenders out there so it was fair for everyone. Pete complained about being out there the most. In order to make it a little better out there, we would let them close early if the sales were below 500. 5 p.m. instead of 7 p.m. Pete was the one that closed early most of the time. I just assumed that he was lazy. Everyone else grinded to make the most tips. Just some info on Pete. He was around 22 or 23, going to school to become a CPA, certified public accountant, and had that frat bro vibe about him. Well, one day I get called to the front desk. Someone there wants to talk to me. When I get there, it's a cop on vacation with his family. He tells me he saw the bartender Pete pocketing money out there. I faked him. Without proof, I cannot do anything, so I convinced IT and security to add a new camera hidden in the rafters to cover the register. The one that was out there only covered the bar area. It is shockingly easy to see if he is stealing. Watch the camera to see when he makes a drink, then check a register to see if one is rung up. Everything has a timestamp. After reviewing the footage, we see that Pete is pocketing money out there, and that is why his sales are low enough to close early. We are all mad, and the director wants to fire him right away. I convince him a slow approach would be better, that we could make an example of Pete. We let it continue for 3 months until the amount stolen is now in the felony amount. In the state this was located in, that is $2,000. Pete would only work at this bar 2 or 3 days a week, so it took a little while. It was at this point that Pete puts in his 2-week notice because he is going to be graduating college and he already has a job lined up. So finally, it is time for my revenge. We wait until 3:45 p.m. to have Pete come into the office, where he comes in. When he comes in, he is greeted to the sight of 2 police, the head of security, the head of HR, the director of food and beverage, and myself. We We don't even give him a chance to explain. We tell him we have him on tape stealing and that he is being arrested. We have him walked out in handcuffs out the employee entrance just as all the night shift employees are coming into work. Now, see, in order to become a CPA, one of the requirements is you have to be of good moral character. The felony for theft means he can never get his CPA license. Needless to say, his job offer is revoked. So when I convinced the director to wait, I knew that was going to prevent him from ever getting his dream job. The moral of the story is do not steal from me. TLDR, let a stealing employee steal enough to be charged with felony, so he will be unable to ever get his dream. Nice. And if he did, he'd be even more corrupt because an accountant can launder even more cash. Oh my god. Just stealing, money laundering, all that you could just do and not really get in trouble for it. Like, he would get in trouble for it down the damn line. Okay, and now the one I've been waiting for, the long con of this video. Revenge on my abusive mother. She never knew it was me responsible for the clink. This happened in 2004 when I was 14. A bit of backstory before I begin. My mother is not a good person. She was abusive verbally for most of my life until I was 14, when her abuse turned physical. Because of her abuse, I came up with creative ways to punish her in my own petty ways, like tampering with her food and dunking her toothbrush in the toilet every day. This story is one of my better petty revenges towards her, and the one that annoyed her the most. I talked to my friends and the things she did to me, and although I appreciated the advice to go to the police, I knew that wouldn't work. My mother is very convincing when she wants to be, and every other time I went to the police, they never believed me. One of my friends, who we'll call Tom, gave me a brilliant idea that would annoy her to no end but wouldn't get me in trouble. His dad is a mechanic, so Tom knows his way around a car. After school that day, I went with him to his house. He showed me a place underneath the car between the top of the front wheel and the side of the engine and told me what to do. Bring on the pettiness. I had to wait a few days to enact my revenge, but the day finally arrived. My mother and my sister left the house to go to ride their horses, which gave me plenty of time to do what needed to be done. The next day I went with my mum and sister to do grocery shopping, and I was elated to hear the product of my labour as the stars started to drive down the driveway. Clink, clink, clink. Yes, dear readers, I attached the rock to the end of a string inside the car that made a loud clink sound every few seconds when the car was moving. Mum, what the heck is that? No idea. Maybe you should get the mechanic to have a look at it. Remember how I said that Tom's dad is a mechanic? Well, he's the only mechanic in town we lived at, and Tom made sure to tell his dad about the things my mother did to me. Needless to say, he was on my side. So after we'd done our shopping, we stopped at the mechanic so they could look at it and fix whatever needed fixing. Mum, as we arrived at the mechanic, "Hi there, well, my car is making a weird noise when I'm driving. Can you look at it for me?" "Sure thing. How about you take a seat inside and I'll give it a drive and see what the problem is." He got in the car and drove it around the block. When he returned, the noise had miraculously stopped. He charged my mum for the check and we were on our way, but not before Tom's dad slowly handed me the rock back and gave me a wink and a smile as I left. That night, I put the rock back in place and left it to do its thing for the next day. And oh boy, was this satisfying. I cannot speak. The next day, the noise was back, so Mum went back to the mechanic, but This time the mechanic couldn't find anything wrong with it and couldn't hear any noise. I never bothered taking the rock out after that, and neither did the mechanic. He'd experienced her entitlement firsthand and had heard many stories from other people around town about her. The rock wasn't damaging the car or affecting its performance, so there was nothing that needed fixing. I moved away to live with my dad when I was 16, but before I moved, the clink was still there, tormenting my mother every time she drove the car. I lost count of the number of times she took it back to the mechanic, and the amount of money she spent on getting rid of the clink. The last time I saw my mother, I was 23, and she still has the same car. I expected the rock to have fallen out by then, but the car still has a clink, but not as loud. Thanks, Tom. It's just like clink, 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 and now it's just like clink, 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 clink. That is just brilliant. I'm going to end the episode on that. Links will be in the description to my main channel and also the second channel that you're on right now that has links to the playlist and the last episode. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you know when the next video comes out. A ding, ding on the Mad Scientist. Mad Scientist out.